Hey everybody, welcome to week 7, EDEL 518A. This is Eddie. First, I just want to say great job on the software critiques. Make sure you go back and you look at the recaps so that you can see all the great work taking place in your cohort, and then also get some ideas for future projects that you might be working on. Now, this week there's a couple things going on. One of them is that you want to make sure you have at least one of your themes done, and you have the outline for your research project all set up. I'll be going through and checking that out this weekend. The next thing is you also have the instructional plan activity, and this activity can be found at the bottom of your Evernote notebook. You're gonna have to make sure that you go in, click on it, make a copy, and then you're gonna be working on this with a partner. Now, and the partner should be from your group. Now, I know this activity almost seems like it's kind of wedged into the course, but the reality is that even though it's rather brief, it's going to be one of the most important components of this quarter, because everything that you did in the software critique is analyze the program, how it was developed, and its purpose, but the other half of that is the pedagogy and how you can potentially use these types of technologies in the classroom. Thinking kind of from the high school view, you know that something that you try in first period may or may not work during fourth or fifth period. And there's many different reasons for that. You know, some of them just have to do with different events that might have happened during the day. But something else to definitely consider is the students with special needs, language learners, and the range of academic levels. And my best example for this is I had worked with students at the high school level that were math and academic and math, English, and behavior intervention. And I had the idea that, Khan Academy was going to be just one of the things that was going to really spark these kids and get them moving along. And so when I began to use Khan Academy, the kids did not respond to it very well at all. Actually, nobody liked it. And the one or two kids that did like it, it was rather difficult for them to follow along, and they just weren't successful with it. So then I got the idea in my head, hey, maybe I can make tutorials for them. And so I started making the tutorials, and a lot of the kids weren't too interested in it. And then I said, well, you know what? I'm going to make the tutorials in Spanish for the few kids that I have that are language learners. That way they get the same content, and I don't have to translate it during class. So then when I made the tutorials, the funniest thing happened, which is all the kids in the class would mock me and make fun of me and say, oh, Mr. Gonzalez, that's not really how you say this. In Spanish, you're supposed to say it this way. Oh, Mr. Gonzalez, your Spanish is bad. You don't say it like that. You say it like this. And I remember at first I was kind of offended, like, oh, excuse me, you're going to start criticizing my Spanish? And then when I realized, I was like, oh my God, these kids, they're actually analyzing and breaking down not only what the work is, but how I'm actually delivering it. And then this led me to having kids create their own tutorials, and it became a very fruitful experience where the lessons that I was delivering, they weren't actually coming from me anymore. They were coming from our kids, and we had actually had some videos in English, some in Spanish, and some in Arabic. So that's kind of a special case of how that worked out. But you really need to consider what is it that you're doing with the technology in your class, and then ultimately what is it the kids are doing with the technology in the class. And where sometimes what we do is we say, oh, that doesn't work for these kids because maybe they're too low or yada yada, then that's where we kind of lower the expectations, when what we need to do sometimes is maybe raise the expectations and recognize that the kids, they really have a lot of awesome potential within them. So take the instructional plan seriously. There's an optional discussion box there. If you have any questions this week, definitely reach out, and have a great week.